Next up in this series of ranking the best NHL player from each round of every draft since 2000, we are now at the 5th round. You guys showed a ton of support on the first 2 videos of this series, so as long as you guys want to watch them, I'm going to continue to make them. And the 5th round has definitely produced a ton of very good NHL talents, so this should be a good video. Let's try to hit 750 likes on this video. You guys have been killing it with the likes lately, so thank you so much for all the support. So with all that being said, let's get right into today's video, the best 5th round pick from every NHL draft since 2000. And of course, if you guys are new and have been enjoying the content, make sure to click that subscribe button and click the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. Starting the video off with the 2000 NHL draft, and my pick is John Michael Liles, who was selected 159th overall by the Colorado Avalanche. I will give an honorable mention to Matt Hendricks because he had a pretty good career as well, but I think of the two, John Michael Liles had the more successful NHL career. He kind of peaked early in his career though, as his career high in points came in his sophomore season where he put up 49 points in 82 games with the Avalanche. He went on to play 836 games, had 370 career points, and all in all was just always a pretty solid offensive defenseman. The best 5th rounder from 2001, in my opinion, it's Kevin Bieksa, who was selected by the Vancouver Canucks 151st overall. I do want to give a big honorable mention to Mike Smith though. I was super close to choosing him, and honestly, I wouldn't blame you guys if you think it should be Mike Smith, but I went with Kevin Bieksa. He was a beast for a long time in the NHL. A lot of people kind of forget that just because the latter part of his career and the last couple of years of it really weren't good at all, but man, was Bieksa ever a beast for the Vancouver Canucks. He finished his career with 808 games played, 278 points, and 1,124 penalty minutes. From 2002, we have our 3rd defenseman in a row, and this one is James Wisniewski, who was selected 156th overall by the Blackhawks. Now, James Wisniewski is definitely a guy who kind of fell off quick, but man, did he ever have some amazing offensive years on the blue line. His best year coming in 2013-14 with the Columbus Blue Jackets, where he put up 51 points in 75 games. James Wisniewski would only play one full NHL season after that. Like I said, he kind of fell off a cliff quickly, but looking at his overall career numbers, he had a pretty decent career for being a 5th round pick. Moving on now to 2003, and my pick is definitely Liles Ştempniak, who was selected 148th overall by the St. Louis Blues. I will give an honorable mention to Brad Richardson, who is still currently playing, but of the two, Liles Ştempniak definitely had a better career in my opinion and was the better player. He's another guy who did kind of peak early, as he had 52 points in his sophomore season in 2006-2007, but he went on to have a really good career, playing 911 games and putting up 469 points. Ştempniak is no longer playing professional hockey. His last games came last season, where he played 2 NHL games for the Boston Bruins. Next up from the 04 draft, my pick is Kris Vergsteeg, who was selected in the 5th round, 134th overall by the Boston Bruins. He didn't end up playing a game with the Bruins. He started his NHL career in 2007-2008 with the Blackhawks, and Versteeg's best years in the NHL came with Chicago in 2008-2009 and 2009-2010, but the thing with Vergsteeg was he was just never really able to stay healthy after his first couple of years in the NHL. Next up from the draft in 05, we got our first Red Wing appearance of the series, and that is Darren Helm, who was selected 132nd overall by the Red Wings in 2005. Now, Darren Helm had a decent NHL career. He was never like a top 6 guy, but always someone who would be a good 3rd line checking forward who could chip in some offense here and there. I really think Darren Helm could benefit a contending team, but the contract that he's on right now is really just unmovable, and nobody is going to want to take that on, but that doesn't take away from the fact that he has had a pretty solid NHL career so far. From 2006, there wasn't too many options, so I went with Alex Bieksa, who was selected 147th overall by the Sabres, because he's really the only one from the 5th round of this draft that has played a good amount of NHL games. Bieksa was never really a consistent NHLer. He's usually like a 7th type defenseman, but he has actually been getting a good amount of time in the NHL this year because he's playing for the Red Wings, who really just need bodies on the blue line. So even though on most teams he would just be like an extra defenseman, he still is the best player from the 5th round of the 06 draft. From the 2007 draft, we have the biggest name player in this video, and that is Benn, who was selected 129th overall by the Dallas Stars. I do want to give an honorable mention to Jake Muzzin because he turned out to be a great NHL player too, but of the two, you obviously gotta go with Benn. and already 671 career points in 790 career games. A player who once won the Art Ross Trophy in 2014-15 when he finished with 87 points. Sure, his offense isn't as great as it once was, but he is still a very important player for the Dallas Stars and has had an amazing career so far. From the 08 draft, I'm definitely going to go with Matt Calvert, who was selected 127th overall by the Columbus Blue Jackets. I will give an honorable mention to Matt Martin and, of course, Mark Borowiecki, aka the Boro Cop. But I feel like of the three, Matt Calvert has had the best career. He's played 536 career games and has 198 points. And he's actually having a really good year so far with the Avalanche. He's on pace to crack his career high in points by a long shot. His career high in points is 26, which came last year, and he's already got 23 points in 38 games. He's been a very important part of Colorado this year. From 2009, we have another one of the bigger name players, and that is Mike Hoffman, who was selected 130th overall by the Ottawa Senators, and he's had a really good NHL career so far. He's had 5 20-plus goal seasons, one 36-goal year, which came last year for the Panthers, and he's already got 18 goals this season in 45 games. He's been a very good goal scorer basically ever since coming into the league. He is set to become a UFA this summer, so it's really going to be interesting to see what happens with him, but if he scores 30 to 35 goals again, you can bet he's going to demand a lot of money on the open market. Next up, we have the 2010 draft, and I'm going to go with John Klingberg, who was selected 131st overall by the Dallas Stars. But when I say this 5th round was stacked, I mean it. You have guys like John Klingberg, Brendan Gallagher, Peter Mrazek, Zach Hyman, Michael Furland, all players who would most likely be a first-round pick if there were to be a redraft of the 2010 draft, and them all coming from the 5th round is pretty impressive. I was very close to giving the nod to Brendan Gallagher, but I went with Klingberg just because I believe when he's playing at the top of his game, he is one of the best two-way defensemen in the entire NHL. He's played 401 career games and already has 277 career points, and he's someone you can trust to throw out there against the other team's top line night in and night out. Moving on to 2011, and my pick is going to be Andrew Shaw, who was selected 139th overall by the Chicago Blackhawks. He played a good amount of years with Chicago, then was moved to Montreal, and now is back with Chicago for this season. And despite kind of being known as a grinder, he has had a couple of really good goal scoring years. He scored 20 in 2013-14 for the Hawks. He had 15 goals and 14 goals the 2 years after that as well. And last season, he had a career high 47 points in just 63 games with Montreal. All in all, for a 5th round pick, he's had a really good career so far. From 2012, 100% the pick has to be Conor Hellebuyck, who was selected 139th overall by the Winnipeg Jets. Now, I will give some honorable mentions to guys like Alex Kerfoot, Colin Miller, and Ben Hutton, but none of those guys come close to Hellebuyck. Hellebuyck has already started 250 games and has a record of 137 wins, 77 losses, and 21 overtime losses, and has a career .916 save percentage and 2.65 goals against. Hellebuyck has already had a Vezina Trophy nominee season back in 2017-18, and the way he's playing this year, he's on pace to have another. Next up from 2013, my pick is Will Butcher, who was selected 123rd overall by the Avalanche, and sure, he didn't play a game with the Avs, he didn't sign his entry-level contract and went on to become a UFA, and then decided to sign with New Jersey. I'm pretty sure he's probably regretting that decision considering where that team is going, but nonetheless, despite him only playing about 2.5 years in the NHL so far, he's had a decent career. He had a great rookie season with 44 points and was a +1, but obviously the past 2 years his numbers have kind of declined a bit, but obviously that makes sense because over the past 2 years New Jersey really hasn't been a good team, but Butcher is still only 25 years old and has a ton of room to grow. Moving on now to 2014, the pick easily has to be Oskar Lindblom of the Philadelphia Flyers, who was selected 138th overall. He was having a breakout season. He had 18 points in 30 games this year, 11 goals. It's super unfortunate what happened and him being diagnosed with a type of cancer, but everyone definitely has him in their prayers, and I'm sure when the time comes where he's ready to return to the ice, he's going to be better than ever, and he still, in my opinion, has a very bright future in the league. Moving on now to 2015, the pick has to be Conor Garland. I do want to give a couple honorable mentions because the 2015 5th round actually produced some pretty good players. You have guys like Dominic Simone, Ethan Bear, Adam Gaudette, and Troy Terry, but of all of them, Conor Garland is definitely the most proven at the NHL level in my opinion. He's having a really good season with 15 goals in 47 games, on pace to score around 25, which is great for him, and he's only 23 years old, so he's very good now and is definitely only going to continue to get better and be a big part of the Arizona Coyotes' future. Next up from the 2016 draft, the pick has to be Maxime Lajoie of the Ottawa Senators, who they selected 133rd overall, and he's the pick because he's really the only player from the 2016 5th round that has played a good amount of NHL games. He's played 62 total between last year and this year and has 7 goals and 8 assists for 15 total points. I'm not quite sure if he's got a promising future future in the NHL or if he's going to be a part of the Ottawa Senators' future, but he is the pick at least so far from 2016. And then from the 2017 draft, we have Sebastian, the defenseman though from the Islanders, who they selected 139th overall, and he's the pick because he's the only one who's played NHL games from the 5th round of the 2017 draft, but he actually looks like he does have the potential to be a pretty solid offensive defenseman one day. He's played 22 total NHL games, but his numbers in the American Hockey League have been very impressive. He had 46 points last year in 67 games, and so far this year in 36 games, he's got 21 points. And then, like the other 2 videos from this series so far, the 2018 draft, a 5th rounder has yet to play a game, and same goes for the 2019 draft. No one's drafted in the 5th round of this previous draft has played a game in the NHL just yet. So that is going to wrap up today's video. I really hope you guys did enjoy. Once again, thank you guys so much for all the support on this series so far. It's been a lot of fun to make, and we still have numerous more videos to go. So with all that being said, I hope you guys all enjoyed today's video. If you did, please make sure to drop a like on it and subscribe to the channel for daily NHL content, and I will see you guys all in tomorrow's video.